What's up, everybody? My name is Vince. Welcome to the channel. And today we're going to be talking about my beloved Mag 77 SKILSAW. And why are we going to talk about it? Because the reality is the younger generations come up, okay, and they're bombarded with advertisement that says, you know, brushless this and brushless that. And I got to tell you, brushless tools are pretty awesome. But the reality is that if something goes wrong with a brushless tool, okay, it could mean a long amount of time without having your tool to help you earn a living. And this is the deal. The SKILSAW, if this thing ain't working, there's only a couple of things it could possibly be. And today, we're going to show you how to fix them. Now, the reality is that this Mag 77, although it incorporates lightweight magnesium, okay, it is a tried and true design. You know, we have the worm drive gearbox here, okay? We have our 15 amp brushed motor. We got the old, you know, electric switch here. That is actually a switch that passes current. And we got a cord, yeah, a cord that we plug into the wall. And quite frankly, if any one of those fail, okay, number one, you know, they could keep your saw from working. But number two, they're easily replaceable. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the blade. You want to make sure that your saw, if you're running it, you have a nice sharp blade. It's kind of like a sharp knife. More people get cut with a dull knife than they do sharp knives. And why is that? Because when you're using a dull instrument, okay, it causes a lot of resistance. You have to put more effort into it. And if you have a dull saw blade, it could cause the saw to kick back and injure you, okay? So we're going to show you how to change the saw blade first. It really is simple, but for some of you that are, this is your first time, or maybe you just bought the tool, you can't figure it out, we want to help you. So, yes, you know how to change the saw blade on your SKILSAW, okay? But you might not know you. We're talking to that guy over there, okay? First thing you want to do is unplug the tool, okay? Second thing you're going to want to do is we're going to want to lower our depth adjustment, okay, all the way down, okay? Third thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take out your supplied wrench. Then what you're going to do is, because this is a SKILSAW, we have a little plunger here, okay? This plunger, if you press it down, it engages into the gearbox, the worm drive, and then we're able to stop the blade from spinning. Now, this is a little bit different. This, because it's a worm drive saw, left line of sight, it's different in a sidewinder type saw, number one. Number two, it's different in the traditional way a bolt comes off. On this saw, you're going to go clockwise, or you know how they say righty-tighty, lefty-loosey? This is reverse to that. If righty-loosey, lefty-tighty. Okay, so we're going to go clockwise. If you've been prying all day and you YouTube this video, you searched it and you're like, you know, I can't get I think it's broken. It's not broken. It's made to come off that way. Okay, so we're going to undo our bolt. We're going to pull off our washer. Okay, we're going to let go of our plunger device. Okay, we're going to move our guard out of the way. We're going to lift up our blade. Okay, and we're going to either proceed to clean this, right? Maybe it just needs a cleaning. If you wanted to find out about cleaning your saw blades, go to this video here. Some good information. Could save you a couple dollars. Or what you can do is you can replace this. So for example's sake, I had to pull the saw blade out of my beloved SKILSAW Sidewinder. Okay, this is a right line of sight saw, and why do I have both? Because when I cut stair skirts, I need both style, right and left line of sight of saw. It's a conversation for another time, but Why did I pull it out? To show you the difference between the blades. And what am I talking about? The difference of the blades? Well, the Sidewinder saw uses a standard arbor and clamping system for the blade, okay? The worm drive saw uses the diamond. Shine bright like a diamond. The diamond. Now, when you're going to buy a replacement blade, you might go, oh, wait a minute. This saw is round. This saw blade's round. It's not going to fit on my SKILSAW, my worm drive. What you do is you'll take your included tool for your SKILSAW, and what you'll do is you'll put it inside the diamond, and you twist it this way, twist it that way, back and forth until the diamond pops out. Okay? Most saw blades, you have the ability to pop that diamond and make sure your diamond's knocked out. It goes back on the same exact way that it came off. You always want to make sure that the teeth are going in the direction of the arrow here on the guard. See that there? Okay, so that's the direction of the teeth. Boom. You get your blade set on your diamond. Then all you'll do is you'll get your washer, and you'll get your reverse thread nut. You'll make sure that your plunger on your gear case is pressed down again, so you can lock up that worm drive gear, okay? And then you're going to tighten it in reverse. Lefty tighty, and just snug it up. Boom. You've changed your blade. The SKILSAW motor is a brushed motor. Quite frankly, SKILSAWs last for generation after generation after generation. Handed down. Father hands it down to his son, daughter. They hand it down to their son or daughter. It just goes on for generation after generation after generation. But it will require some maintenance. You might need to replace the brushes. Okay, so we've set our saw to the minimum depth of cut, right? So we're able to get to this brush cap. We'll be able to get to this brush cap. You're going to use your included tool, and you're going to, you seeing that? You're going to back out your brush cap. Okay, they simply come out. Now, be careful. They're under spring pressure. The brushes are under spring pressure. So you'll see as this brush cap comes off, see the brush is inside here under spring pressure. You're going to want to keep track. You'll see, wow, this brush has hardly any wear on it. If you're just checking your brushes, you want to make sure they go back in the same direction that they came out. Okay, you don't want to flip them around. This one has the X85 on top when you put it back in. Here's the deal. You're going to want to, as this wears down, take a measurement. When it gets to be 3/16 of an inch or less, you're going to replace the brushes. Okay? There's one on this side, and there's one on this side. You replace them in pairs. You're going to check them in pairs. If you're wondering how much life is left in this brush, this is exactly 3/16 that we have set on this square. Okay? So we have from here forward to wear out. Once it gets to be this size, it's got to be replaced. But pretty simple to replace the brushes. Let's pop them back in. I'm going to push our spring all the way back in. We're going to put our cap back on. Good part is that the brush caps, they tighten down in the traditional righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. But you're still going to want to just, and these are just plastic, so don't over-tighten them. You're just going to want to snug these up as well. If you needed to replace your switch, let's say something went wrong with your switch mechanism or your cord, okay, I'll show you how to do that right now. To get the handle off, to get in here to change out the switch and the cord, we're going to need to get the handle off. Okay, we have Torx fasteners that are holding it on. These smaller fasteners are T25 or Torx 25s. These larger fasteners are Torx 30 or T30s. All we're going to do to get this off is we're going to turn it on its side. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove these fasteners that hold the handle together. Okay? We'll set those aside. Okay? Once those half fasteners that hold the handle halves together are out, then we can get our T30 bit. Okay? We're going to undo the Torx fastener up here. It has its Mag 77 nut, retaining nut on the other side. This will come out as well. We're going to screw these together for safekeeping, and we'll set those aside. Okay? Then once that's done, we'll undo the two fasteners here at the rear. Set that aside. And set that aside. Once that's done, we can then open up our handle half. Okay? So this piece will come off, and then our cord and switch become accessible. Now, what you'll need to access the switch is a T20 bit, Torx bit. Okay? So all we're going to do is we're going to back out that T20, and our switch will come free. You'll see there's 4 connections. You're going to want to put your connections back. You're going to want to swap them over. So you'd have your new switch, okay? And as you undo the cables, the wires, you're going to transfer them over to the new switch. You'll see you have 3 black and 1 white, or 3 hot and 1 neutral. You're going to want to keep track of that. Once again, you're going to need a Torx style driver bit. It looks as though we're going to need T20 again. So all you'll do is you'll back out these fasteners, okay? And then your stake-ons will come free, and I would transfer these one at a time to the new switch if you needed to swap out the switch. If you didn't need to change your switch and all you needed to do was change your cord, you'll see here on the entrance side of the switch, you'd have a black wire, a white wire would come off of the switch. We're going to back that off. We'll set that fastener aside. Those 2 wires would come free. Okay? Then we have a single ground wire here. Tool has to be grounded. It is good old metal, so it needs to be grounded. We'll back out that fastener, set it aside. Our ground wire is now free. And finally, we would need a Torx 15 or T15 driver bit. We'll undo our strain relief or clamp. Okay, that will come off. We're able to remove our cord. Okay, replace it with a new one. Okay, you'll see everything else, the switch is still left intact. Pretty simple. Simple. That's the beauty of a SKILSAW. It's powerful. The Mag 77 is fairly lightweight, relatively speaking, and there's not much to go wrong with it. I mean, two more screws, you could swap out your switch. Okay, replace the cord. Our motor's not working. We replace the brushes. There's not much to go wrong here. Let's get this back together. I'm going to show you the one final thing that requires replacing or checking every 10 hours or 20 hours or so. We're going to go over that in a second. So everything goes together in reverse order. I backed out my strain relief, so I want to make my connections to my switch real quick. Snugged up. Okay. Once those are all down, we're going to feed our wires through our cable management here. We're going to put our switch back in place. Once again, just snug. And then we're going to pop our strain relief on. Perfect. Then we're going to slide our strain relief back up on here. We're going to pop it back into its notch. Yeah. Just want to make sure our switch, we're able to actuate it. Want to make sure that everything's rooted in these organizers. Let's put our other half back on. Beautiful. Then we could pop our screws back in. And I do want to warn you, if you use an impact driver to assemble, just snug. Just everything gets snugged. We're going to pop our Mag 77 retaining nut back on this side. You want to make sure your 77 is the right orientation. Because why not? Put that back together. We're going to swap back to the T20. Okay, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So now our cord's back in, our handle's back together, our switch is operating. For the next step, we're going to check the saw's oil level. Because a worm drive saw, because of the gears, requires lubrication. SKILSAW oil, all right? What you need to do is you need to have the saw set at its lowest level, or its lowest point. Now, to show you this, I'm going to need to move this table out of here. Oh yeah, I'm going to have to make sure the saw is disconnected again. Okay, now, what you want to do to check the oil level is, once again, take your wrench, okay, and we're gonna back off. Remember the plunger that we used to stop the gears from spinning so we could change our blade? Well, that's also where you would put your oil in. We're gonna back that off. We're gonna go lefty-loosey, okay? We're gonna take off that bolt or plunger. I gotta tell you. Now, here's the deal. You should always have oil to the bottom of the threads. And quite frankly, it's kind of low, number one. And number two, if you have any what looks to be thickness, or if the oil looks to be not fluid anymore, you're going to want to change it. Quite frankly, I'm going to want to change this. So our level's not horrible. It could be a little bit higher. But what we need to do is the oil's kind of thick, so we're going to change that oil. We're going to put our plug back in. So SKILSAW recommends changing the gear lube or oil after 10 hours of use of the saw, after you initially buy it, purchase it. Then they tell you to check your oil in your gear case before every use. I think that's a little unrealistic. I would probably recommend under heavy daily use, maybe every 3 days. Maybe that's enough. Some of you might feel it's not enough. Leave it down in the comment section below. I think 3 days, every 3 days is a good number, okay, of use. But when we go to change the oil, we need to run this for a full minute. I'm gonna count it off. 1. Now, why do we want to run the saw for a full minute before changing the oil? Because if there's any contaminants in the gears, okay, it will move them around, number one. It'll get them to be suspended in the oil, and on top of that, it will also make the oil that's in the gear case more fluid. So once we run the saw for 30 seconds, okay, all we're going to do is we're going to back off that nut. Oh, I don't know my own strength. Okay. We're going to back off that nut. Then all we're going to do is we're going to turn the saw upside down. And we're going to let that fudge. We're going to let all that fudge out of that gear. I got to tell you, as new as the brushes were, the gear lube is like brownie batter. Good to the last drop. That's it. It's not an enormous amount of lube. We're just going to wipe this up. The excess lube is over here. It's not terrible. Okay, but what we got to do is, once again, we have to put the saw at its lowest position on a flat surface because we have to see how high the oil level is. Let's get on to adding the oil. So this is what you're going to want to use. This is heavy-duty worm drive saw lubricant from Skill. It's product number 80111. It's 8 fluid ounces. Now, it's going to come with a nice little nifty little tip here, so you can just cut the top off and insert it right into the gear case of the saw. All we're going to do is we're going to cut the top off, then we're going to put the lube, the tip of the lube, this big bottle of lube, into the saw, and then very slowly add the lube until the lube fills up the gear case to the bottom of the threads in the gear case. Very slowly fill up that lube. The other thing you're going to want to make sure is if your saw starts making any noises from the bearings, that might be one of the services that might not be routine service. You might want to take that in for service to a certified repair shop. Or maybe tackle it yourself. If you want us to show you how to replace the bearings on your SKILSAW, your worm drive SKILSAW, let us know down in the comments section below. But you can see we filled it up to the bottom of the threads on our gear case. Now all we got to do is replace our plug, snug it up, put back your wrench. When you put back your wrench, always put it with the curve facing up. Do not put it with the curve down. Curve up. Just want to test fire it up. And it's sounding as good as new. And if you like when your tools sound as good as new and run even better, then smash the like button. Also, if it's your first time here, you're not already, get subscribed and tap the bell because we do fun stuff like this all the time that could save you a bunch of money. I mean, why buy a new saw if you could just service your old saw? Why take your saw to a repair center if you're competent enough to repair your own and you feel comfortable doing so? Never miss another video ever again. With that, I want to say I appreciate each and every one of you being here with us. Thanks a lot, everybody. We'll see you all on the next one. Video's over, but I know you want more. So this is how you're going to get it. First thing you need to do is pretend you're this guy. And you're here at the birthplace of freedom. Now ring that bell like it's 1776 and let all notifications through. What? You're not subscribed yet? Well, smash this button here. After that, watch this video here, and maybe over here. See you later.